Hi everyone, it's Lynn Dion here from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I thought we'd make a fun floral springtime card. So we're going to get started by using the Penny Black Cling Stamp, and this is called Blooming Boots. And I just think this is so pretty. And we're going to be stamping it on the Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth Premium White Cardstock in the 100-pound weight. And we're also going to use the Finese alcohol-proof dye ink called Noir Black, also from Spectrum Noir. And then we're going to take our Misty Stamp Positioner and place that paper in here. And we did remove the pad from the positioner because this cling stamp is one of the heavy, thicker type stamps. So I ended up stamping this 2 times to get a nice, clear black image. So now I'm going to be using for my coloring these Spectrum Noir Tri-blend Markers. These are alcohol-based markers, and they have a light, mid-tone, and a dark tone. So all of your blending can be done with one marker, which is really nice. And they've figured out the calculation that gives you the best blending. I just wanted to show you here that I had taken the packaging and placed it on a little cardboard strip here so I would have it. But then I went ahead and did my color chart. And this is the color chart. There's 24 colors in the collection currently, but I do believe they're going to be coming out with more. And you can see, get a nice variety of colors here. So I went ahead and identified the colors using my label maker and then just coloring them in so I could see what the colors would look like. And then down at the bottom there you see those are a few extra markers that I happen to have in my collection. So we'll be referring back to this color chart, but I did want to show you when you compare it to the packaging, in some cases it's pretty close, but in other cases it seemed like it wasn't quite the same. So I do think you're best off to do a nice color chart of your own, and that way you can use it as you go along. So you'll see that each end of the marker is labeled with the color, and it's lighter on that side and a little darker on this side, which indicates the dark end of the marker. So there's light, mid-tone, and dark. And it also has the number on it, so you know what number marker you're working with. So I think the labeling on these is actually quite nice. We're going to start off with the dark red blend, the citrus blend, and the orange blend to get started with our coloring. So I'm going to do things a little bit differently here. I'm going to start off with this citrus blend, the dark end of the marker, because I thought that I wanted these flowers to have a little bit of a yellow undertone to them. So I'm going to start off with this, not really as my lightest color, but really just as kind of an undertone color. So I'm going to just saturate the paper with this citrus yellow color. And you want to make sure you have plenty of ink there so that your colors will blend. And then I'm going to come in with the orange blend, and I'm going to take the dark end, and I'm just going to put a little bit kind of dark down here towards the bottom, and then kind of where there might be a little bit of dark areas and some shadowing. Then I'm going to go to the mid-tone, which you can see makes the pen a little bit shorter, but still really easy to hold on to. And then I'm going to go to the light end, and I'm going to blend all of those colors together. And I'm going right over the yellow there. So I'm doing pretty much a normal blend here. And you will see as it starts to dry that some of that yellow undertone will come through. Now I still felt it needed a little bit more, so I'm taking the dark red blend, but I'm taking the light end of it and just kind of adding a little bit of a shadow down here at the bottom. So don't be afraid to mix your markers together here. You don't have to use just the 3 tones in the pen. And now I'm going to go back to that light orange blend, and I'm going to blend those together. And that will get rid of any lines or any marks that I have there. And you'll see as this starts to dry that you'll get a really nice shading from this. So I'm going to do the next one here, again using the citrus yellow. And it doesn't really matter which end you use here. You could use the light or the dark, whichever one you want. We're just laying down a little bit of a base tone of the yellow. And then we're going to start with the coloring again. So we're going to go to that orange and we're going to take that darker orange blend and again down at the bottom here a little bit and kind of where those shadow areas would be. And then I'm going to the mid-tone and blending those two orange shades together. And then I'm going to the light tone and I'm going to blend the whole thing out. Now your standard blending would be to go light first on one marker. If you were just going to use one marker, you would go light, then dark, then mid-tone, and then back to the light for the blending. But now here again, I thought it was a little bit too light at the bottom. So I wanted to add a little bit more of a shadow down here at the bottom. So I'm going back to my dark red pen, and I did use the lightest color of the dark red pen. And I just added that to the bottom, and then I'm using my light orange again to do my blending, to blend those colors out. So don't be afraid to mix and match these markers. You know, you can kind of choose the colors that you like. And for your highlighting, sometimes you just need to go to a different marker to get that done. So here, I thought I'd show you one more here, and then I'll color the rest of them off camera. But I did want to show you, this one was open, so I thought I'd show you what this looks like. So again, I'm starting with the citrus yellow. Again, the light or the dark, it doesn't really matter here. And then I'm coming in with the orange blend in the darker one. Then I'm going to go to that mid-tone. Just trying to blend those. You can use like a circular motion here just to get some of the blending. And then the lightest one, and I'm going to go over the whole thing again. So that's going to give me a really nice effect. And you'll see as they start to dry, you get a little bit of that yellowy undertone there. You could certainly just color these in with one of the markers, using the light, mid, and dark tone of one marker. That would absolutely work perfectly. So don't worry about this if it seems like it's too much or it's going to take too long. Just use the one color. It'll be really just as pretty. So here you can see I'm adding a little bit of that red again, the lightest red, and just kind of adding a little bit of depth down there in the center of that flower, and then I'm going to go back to that light orange and blend those out again. So again, from here I went and I did the rest of these off camera. And I did decide to add a couple little dots to the center of that flower there with the darker red. So you can see that there. And now you'll be able to see that all of those are colored in. Now for the leaves, I'm going to use the light green blend, and that's what it looks like there on the color chart. So again, grabbing your color chart does make it a little easier to determine what the best colors are. And I'm going to start again with the lightest color. This would be your normal blending. You would start with the lightest color. You would then go to the darker color, and I'm going to add the little bit of shadow here, kind of closest to where the flowers are. Then I'm going to take that mid-tone and just blend those two together. And then I'm going to go back to the light and blend the whole thing out. And again, as these dry, you get a little bit more of the effect of the blending. This particular leaf has a little fold in it, so I'm adding a little bit of dark up there where the leaf has that little bend in it. And doing the same exact thing with the blending here. So I'm going to show you these two more down at the bottom here, and then I'll do the rest again off camera. But here we are starting with the lightest color. And again, make sure you have enough ink down because you want these to blend. So you want to make sure you put enough of the light color. And then I went to the dark, then the mid-tone, and back to the light. And you can see that you'll get some nice shadows there. So I finished all the rest of those. Now for the boots. So I grabbed the color chart here, And I decided I wanted that green turquoise blend. I just think that color is so pretty. So I'm going to do the normal blending here. I'm starting with the lightest color. I'm just going to saturate the paper there a little bit up towards the top. I am going to work in sections on these boots because they are quite large and I don't want the ink to dry out. Now I'm adding the darker color there. Then I'm taking the mid-tone and I'm going to blend those together. Just bringing that shadow down a little bit further. And then going with the light color, I'm just going to blend all of that out. So now for the rest of the boot, I'm coming down the side of the boot here and I'm going to add that lightest color. Then I'm going to the dark one and I'm kind of going in a left to right motion here, just kind of pulling that color in a little bit. Then I'm going to the mid-tone and I'm going to blend that dark tone out a little bit. And here you want to use that circular motion a little bit to get those colors to pull. And then going to the light tone and blending those three colors together. And just keep working at it till you get a nice blend. And now I'm going to do the same thing, and I want to leave that lightest area kind of down towards the right front part of the boot a little bit, I guess I would say. So I'm adding that darker color again, kind of just in little marks left to right there. And then I'm going to come in with the mid-tone and blend those two, again using kind of that circular motion. And then with the lightest tone, I'm going to blend all that together. And just keep working it until you get a nice blend. And you'll see here we'll get that nice highlight right down that side of the boot there. Now I did leave this in. I don't know, I tried to speed it up a little bit so it wouldn't get too boring here. I just wanted to show you what I did here because coloring the boots, they were kind of on a different angle, so I did want to keep the coloring in, but I did speed it up. And I'm doing the exact same process. Now on this other boot, the shadow is going to be where those two boots meet together there and up underneath those flowers. So I wanted to start with my lighter color and then again add that darker shadowing kind of along those edges of those two boots. And going back to the mid-tone again. And I did want to say just a few things on these markers. Price-wise, I found that they're very economical. They run about $5 a marker. But if you consider that you're getting 3 colors in each marker, that's a very good price point, I thought. And as far as, so with 24 colors available, and you're getting basically 3 colors per marker, that gives you 72 colors. So that's a pretty good collection just to start off. And for me, this is my first purchase into the alcohol markers. And I thought for the price point, I really, thought it was a good deal. Maybe someday I will invest in the Copics, but right now I thought this was a good way to get started, just to practice with these and see if I like them. I also feel like these would travel really well. You could just grab these and go, and you don't need a lot of markers. And also for storage. I know my storage is limited, so and here I just want to mention I'm using the ice gray blend, and I'm going to do the bottom of the boots with that. And this is a pretty light gray color. And we're going to add a little shadow here as well. But again, I think, to get started with these markers, it's actually a really inexpensive investment as compared to, say, Copics. And the guesswork is done for you, which I really like. You really don't have to know how to do the blending or what colors to pick. The markers basically take care of it. And I found, in testing the markers, I found that the blending I thought was really good. Gave you some nice tones, some nice shadows. So I think it's a good starter. It's a good price point. And like I said before, I think there are new colors coming. Hopefully by summertime there'll be some new colors. So this would make for a nice collection. So here you can see I'm just doing that little buckle on the boot, basically the same exact way. So now I'm going to grab my detail scissors here and I'm going to just cut this out, but I want to leave a little bit of a white border all the way around. I'm just kind of going around and leaving a little tiny border there. And I will just mention, when you're cutting something detailed like this, move the paper, try to keep your scissors pretty much in one place, and turn the paper as you go, and it'll make it a lot easier to cut around all these little pieces. So I just continued cutting that out. And then I took a look at it and thought between the flowers was a little bit white. So I'm taking that light gray marker. Now this is a regular Spectrum Noir alcohol pen, which has a bullet tip on one end and then a little brush tip on the other. And I'm just filling in that area. This is a blue-gray, and I'm just filling that in a little bit here. Now for the flowers, I wanted to add a little bit more highlight. So I'm going to take my Jelly Roll white gel pen, and I'm just going to add some little white highlights to these flowers. So here again, if your blending isn't perfect and you're not sure you got enough of a highlight with the markers, just grab your white gel pen and just kind of add some little interest here. And you can hide some little mistakes here if you need to. I think it just makes it a little more whimsical and a little more fun. And it's very quick and easy to do. So you can see that adds a little bit more interest there. Now for the boots, I don't know, I kept envisioning them being polka dotted, and I couldn't get away from that. So I decided to go to the black pen, the black Spectrum Noir pen, and I'm going to make polka dotted boots. I just kept thinking they have to be polka dotted for some reason. You could do white polka dots as well, but I thought the black would be a nice contrast. So I'm just going in and just dotting it. You want to go pretty much straight up and down. And just hold it there for maybe a second or so, just so that it makes a nice circle. You can practice this on a scrap piece of paper first, but it goes very quickly, and I wanted them to look like random dots, so I'm just kind of randomly putting those in. And I thought that added a lot to the little boots here. And again, a good way to camouflage if you didn't think your coloring was perfect. So now back to the Spectrum Noir cardstock. I'm going to take this die from Penny Black. This is from the Creative Dies collection, and you can see you get quite a few dies in this package. We're using that square one with that stitched border. This is the stitch, square, and circles die set. And I'm going to run that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 machine. And you'll notice I put it on a little bit of an angle just so it will run through a lot easier that way. And then I'm going to take another piece of that same cardstock, and I'm going to cut this at 4 1/16 by 4 1/16. And that's going to fit right inside that other square. So now that I have that cut, I'm going to take the Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink, and these are from the Picket Fence Studio. These are the life-changing blender brushes, and they're super soft and really easy to blend with. And so I'm just inking up the blender, and I'm just going to brush that on around all four corners and down the sides, but a little bit darker in the corners than on the sides. And I'm bringing it in a little bit further on the corners. And I want to keep the center area white for the focal point, which is our flowers. So I just continued to do that all the way around. Now once you're done with that brush, you can clean it off on a dry towel and it will come perfectly clean, so you can use it again with a different color after. So now I'm taking Gina K foam squares. These are the white foam squares, and they have this nice little dispenser, which is really nice. And I removed the backing from all of those. And now I'm going to tape down first this little blue panel that we created. So I'm just centering that on the stitch square here. And then again, I am going to remove the backing from all of those little foam squares, and I'm going to center this right on the center of that square there. Now I took some scrap gray paper I had. It's like a medium gray color. And I decided to cut that to fit behind that square. So that would measure 4 3/4 by 4 3/4. And then here we have a 5 by 5 card. So you would cut your cardstock 5 by 10, score it at 5 inches, and fold it in half. And we're going to make a top folding 5 by 5 card. So now using the Penny Black Key to My Heart stamp set, I'm going to be using that Just For You saying, and that other little bear I had used on another card, which you could check out at my blog if you get a chance. And then I'm going to use my Versamark watermark ink pad and another little strip of that gray paper, and this is about a 1/2 inch wide. And I'm using the Nuvo Detail Embossing Powder in the Glacier White. So I'm going to go ahead and use my anti-static tool just to make sure the powder doesn't stick here. And then I'm inking up my stamp with the Versamark ink and stamping that. Now I'm going to put some of that Glacier White embossing powder on here, and I'm sorry that's a little bit off camera there, but I'm just sprinkling on the embossing powder and tapping off the excess. And then I'm going to use my heat gun to heat set that, to emboss it. And I did notice there was a couple little speckles left, so I'm using my Mono Sand Eraser from Tombow, and I'm just going to buff off those little speckles that were left there. So now I'm just going to cut this strip down, and I'm going to create a little banner. So I'm just cutting into the center there from each side and creating a little V at that end to make like a little banner strip here. And I'm going to just put some adhesive on the back of that and position that in place. And I'm using my ATG 700 gun to do all of the adhesives here. It's a permanent double stick tape. Now I'm using the jewel picker from the Marvy Uchida collection. And I have all of these sparklettes. These are little embellishments. And I thought this one went the best. I keep all of these on a little ring binder. And it's a nice way. I just hook them on my little cart. And I can grab them whenever I need them. And this collection is called Sea Level. And these little clear ones have a little tiny bit of a bluish tint to them, which I thought really went well with this card. And I'm just kind of randomly placing these down. And you can see how easy that jewel picker makes it to pick up these little items here. And then using my multi-medium matte from Ranger, this is a clear adhesive. It's a super strong adhesive. And I'm just putting a little dot of that down and attaching these little clear glass beads here. So that's the card for today. I'll give you a closer look here. You can see we have a lot of detail. There's a lot of layers to the card. So I hope you enjoyed today's card. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to visit me at pinkwhisperdesigns.com. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.